All right, ladies and gents, welcome. It's good to see BacT back. So to repeat myself for the third or fourth time over the last 5 minutes, sorry, live stream viewers, BacT had said many months ago that he was retired from Age of Empires 2. And then he clarified and said, at the very least, I'm taking a very long break. I think he had a new job. He's got a family. You know, we're all old farts in this scene. And, you know, you've got to prioritize a little bit. And BacT had made some deep runs, but nothing crazy deep where maybe he could just realistically look at Age of Empires 2 as his only job. So he retired. And then, you know, obviously in the first season, he was 4th place, which meant he stayed alive in Platinum. And we contacted him ahead of time and said, hey, man, like, what's the deal? Are you going to still play? What are you thinking? And he said, you know what? I'm going to come back and I'm going to play in Titans League. So he's here. He obviously hasn't been playing the game as much as, you know, we grow accustomed to a lot of players playing our game. But, you know, BacT, he's in a group that has MBL, Liereyy, Yo, and then it's slipping my mind who the other players are at the moment. Draken and then Dark are the other players. So I think it is definitely a group where you're looking at who's going to be relegated between BacT, Dark, and Draken, right? I would be shocked if Liereyy, MBL, and Yo got relegated. But then again, you never know. Anyways, this is game 1 cross. Every game's going to matter here. And Liereyy showed that he does have some vulnerabilities, I think, in his draft. If you didn't see the draft, I'm going to give you one little sneak peek here, because this is just Dark Age, and people have been asking for more things on the draft. Just going to look at this. It's not going to be long, so don't be too upset. But I want you to look at the bans for Liereyy, the red boxes. He didn't ban Spanish when the home map for BacT is Nomad. And he banned humans, of all things. And then BacT gets Spanish on his draft. So whenever we see Nomad, like, if Liereyy can't deal with Spanish, which is seen as a really super good Nomad civ, and humans isn't, maybe there'll be some questions there for Liereyy. But we'll see. BacT's looking good so far, not looking like someone who's retired. Pretty standard start. Obviously played this game for better part of a decade, if not a full decade at this point straight before his retirement. And we'll probably see a dock for BacT and transition into some fishing ships. And then we'll have Liereyy do the same with Italians. I didn't really talk about the civs at hand here. Italians, I think, is an underrated pick here. Also, hello Talib, hello Smallhead, hello Ken, hello John again. You have cheaper fishing ships with Italians. It's cheaper to go up to the next stage, and all those things could be really relevant. It's sometimes a surprise to me why people aren't picking Italians more frequently. Anyways, over here, we're going to see that dock here for BacT. Liereyy scouts actually around. Both players got a little boop on each other's scout. But Lierey's dock will be up slightly faster, so that's nice. But Huns don't start with as much wood. So Huns are normally a little delayed with the dock. But then they don't have to make houses, which is obviously helpful in the long term. Cool, cool. So before the game starts, I predict that this one will go to the main channel on YouTube. So that's a reminder for myself. The cat didn't like the last food, buy the other brand. Yeah, this is from Mateus, who is trying to use the comment section to remind himself to do stuff. And I think the last time, which was like, I forget which game it was and if it actually hit the main YouTube channel, but it was buy the cat new food. And so now apparently the cat didn't like the food. Interesting. But, all right. Well, that's a new one. I'm appreciating that, I guess, kind of. At least you bought your cat food. Like, at least I know that you didn't rely on me to upload a video and I didn't do it and then your cat went hungry. Liereyy very active with his scout here, though, in this game. Like, he's seen the wood line. He's seen where the dock was going to go. And also used a sheep to scout this shoreline, which is a little unique. And he's going to wall up right now. And so maybe Liereyy just wanting to go for some fishing in the south and already wanting to pre-scout that with the sheep. That's a little rare. He's going to obviously get home with that thing. Common strategy on cross. We've seen a lot of cross so far, so this shouldn't be as a surprise if you've been following TTL. Thank you, by the way, for those of you that have been following it and supporting me and appreciating it all. But yeah, anyways, common strategy is to sneak a villager eventually to take out their fish. So far, from what I'm seeing, I think we're going to see maybe a scout build from both into a potential dock. But look at BacT, sending a villager to the north already. And he's got to be careful here. This is a little risky, right? Like, Lierey's probably going to head to the north, Could easily do so. But then again, Liereyy might be looking to see if there's a barracks from BacT. Liereyy not sending a villager to dock. Liereyy is sending 3 villagers to gold, though. Which is a tiny bit confusing, but he just squeaked in a 5th fishing ship here. And that's because it's cheaper with Italians, and you want to be greedy if you can on this map. I think BacT is actually trying to loop this villager around to hit Lierey's pond. Also trying to wall up his own pond. I would describe BacT's current play as very greedy. Like, he's not playing with as much control over the game. This is the type of strat that, like, I would probably go for if I was against Liereyy. But it's very exposed. And the starting scout can get a lot of value here. Now, of course, like, BacT has been retired. Can he quick wall? He's trying. I know he's always been pretty good at it. Oh! Okay. Meanwhile, he was attacking here. Almost killed the villager from Liereyy. And, oh no! The villager dies through the wall! Why hasn't that been fixed yet? Oh, that's a bug, man. But it's a present bug. Like, it's maybe not a bug. It's a feature. It's a part of the game that Liereyy will certainly like. That's frustrating for BacT. He saved that villager. But he is getting a dock down here. And that's not something Lierey's going to expect. Is the game a second behind the action for anyone else? Dude, I would just say refresh. I'm going to assume no at this point because nobody else has said anything. A refresh normally is your best bet. Or maybe, you know, I'll realize it and it's on my end. But most likely a refresh. BacT will be disappointed that that villager died. But he is going to be in an okay position if he could take out the fishing ships from Liereyy. And Lierey's now spotted this, guys. Liereyy checked with his fishing ship, and he's going to be so disappointed that that's happened because he, I think, was thinking about it this whole time. He is making a fire galley, but he's making it at home as he's making archers and spearmen near the front of his base. BacT will realize that's the case. Now, the thing that hurts BacT here is he got the dock up, but he can only make 1 fire because he didn't go to gold ahead of time. So that hurts. Also, he's adding a fishing ship here. That's a mistake. There's no way that's intentional, right? Just fishing your opponent's food? I mean, it's actually pretty unique. He is very distracted, right? Like, it's not like it's as relaxed as we see right now. You have to imagine that that was not intentional from him, and I think he's just realized. He tried to add that fishing ship at home, no doubt. And while he's killed one of Lierey's fishing ships, he's going to donate one to Liereyy if he ever loses this dock, and Liereyy defends pretty nicely. So that wasn't the best. The walling, though, is going to help BacT now, and Lierey's just hoping to sneak in and get some value. That's not going to happen. Lots of walling from both players this game. A lot more walling than we've seen other players do. And Liereyy also has a dock in the north now where he can add more fishing ships. Again, as I apologize for every time, sorry for all the dinging. Lierey's going to have some issues with skirmishers. It's maybe a game where he'll add a stable here. But he won't want BacT to see that transition. And BacT actually gets through here. And guys, what an interesting game. BacT is going to drop a very nice tower in that little nook on the wood line. And there's weak villagers from before. And BacT gets 1. Oh, did he get 2? I can't even tell. I think he did get 2 there. So he kills 2 villagers. Andy's got skirmishers over here, and Lierey's lost an archer. And Lierey's push can't really, you know, move on much further. Andy lost his scout there. And BacT is going to kill another archer. So here's a genuine question. I don't mean to come off as disrespectful with this statement. You ready? Oh, God, the tower is actually getting denied. That's not what the statement was going to be. The statement is, and the question is, who has played more Age of Empires in like the 5 days leading up to this series? Liereyy or BacT? If you had to guess. You would think BacT because he said, hey, I'm retired. And is coming back from retirement. But Liereyy has never been someone who's been known for playing the game a lot. Despite the fact that he's really good. Like for the big stage LAN events, like the crazy games, where you've got like 100K prize pool, yeah, Liereyy will put in the grind in practice. But like, he does not play AoE2 a lot. Like, yeah, he's an AoE2 pro. But how active do you see him on the ladder? Not active at all, really. So Yeah, maybe a tie. Exactly. I was thinking BacT, honestly. Because I know that he would have wanted to come in here with a little bit of prep and some practice, probably played some games. That was a vulnerability for Liereyy in the first season. He was second in his group to Winchester, and then I think he lost in his round of 12 series. Could someone remind me what happened there? I forget. Anyways, Lierey's still in a really nice position here. You know, not being critical of anything he's seen here. Denied that tower. That could always be built later on. Yeah, I was able to deny the tower. Doesn't see the south now to see that there's going to be a dock going up there. But he's adding scouts because he's concerned about BacT skirmisher numbers. But now he's just going to send his archers inside and run forward with the scout to see what's out there. And Liereyy keeps that villager alive. And let's see if he keeps an eye on this now. Looks like he will. And we had a big fight back here. And Liereyy could lose all of his fish. We just caught a glimpse of it. Oh, man. How quickly things can turn around. I wonder if the fishing ship from BacT was like a buffer there. Liereyy losing all those fishing ships and not being able to stop this dock from going up could be a big issue for him. However, BacT hasn't clicked up to Castle Age yet, and Liereyy has, and we know how good Liereyy can be with early crossbow. Like, that's Lierey's thing. You know what he's going to do, but can you stop him? Now, I don't think the fishing ship was a trap. He definitely meant to make fires. But hey, I mean, he might take this pond from Liereyy. Thankfully for Liereyy, though, he still has 6 fishing ships. And BacT has 5. So that tells you how far ahead Liereyy was with the food eco. Because he lost all that eco, and still he's in a really good position. I think BacT sees that there is a villager now heading to dock there. And is going to try and deny that with these archers. But my concern for BacT would be, you know, without house walls behind your palisades, which is what other civs would do, but Huns cannot, how do you defend from this early crossbow wave that Lierey's going to send into you? And also, if this dock goes up, it's still really good situation for Liereyy, isn't it? Lierey's got to force that down. He's got to tap this. Yeah, and he taps that dock down. So all he wants is a couple fires and fishing ships. He doesn't really care about the villas much. So a 9-2 eco KD. But look at that archer mass for Liereyy, and his eco's looking great. Resources collected right now. Lierey's just been ahead of BacT. And again, it's cheaper for him to get dock techs, and it's also cheaper for him to go up to the next stage, which is paid off here. Oh, BacT is going to realize he's under pressure here. He seems to be panicking a little bit. Now, Huns not having to make houses can help you in the messy games, but when you need to play defensive, it's not a help at all. And BacT will hit Castle Age. Good defense, actually, from him. He's going to run away. Might see a siege workshop from him. He's actually going to opt for elite skirm. Interesting. He doesn't have many. And this is just typical Liereyy fashion, right? Lierey's like, aha, I'm in your face. I'm going to dive. You want to keep me out? No, I know you're not ready yet. Meanwhile, it's important to note Liereyy will win that pond or defend that pond. Elite skirm still not in yet for BacT. He cannot drop a tower because of that failed tower attempt earlier. Liereyy now drops a second TC. BacT has to defend from this. If he can defend from this, he's got a fighting chance. But Lierey's got so many good things going for him right now. And now elite skirmisher's in. Oh boy, look at the idle time. Oh, no. Oh, I can't build anything either. Oh, it's so rough. This is so painful for BacT. Comes out of retirement, faces Liereyy, and Liereyy does lose a crossbow. But he's not just good with the micro. He's good at controlling the game and knowing what he can do with this type of position. He's got 7 fishing ships. He's about to go up now to 9. He's got 2 town centers producing those vills, and he's got siege now as well. And, oh, another group of crossbowmen. More crossbowmen, the siege too, so the elite skirmishers might not even do enough. If Liereyy can just group this all up together here, he's got almost an unkillable ball right now, unless BacT had his own siege. There's something BacT was debating on, but he doesn't really have enough right now. T90, you should cast Viper and Hera versus Yo and Vivi. Okay, so normally I just skip over these comments, but you do realize this is an event that I put a lot of work into, that I'm hosting. and that I'm currently casting. And the other one is a show match, which has no ramifications on any type of event, and is just over at the conclusion, right? Just want to be clear how I might not want to do that, and how weird a statement that is, but maybe that's me being a little testy here. Maybe I should chill. No, I'm not going to do that, actually. I'm going to cast this event. I'm sorry. Mangonel coming out here for BacT. 53 eco for BacT is still really good. He's had the ability to add some fishing ships here. And what he wants is one big mango shot, right? Well, probably multiple, to be honest. He's not going to have knights anymore. It's crazy, man. You know Lierey's going to go like archers. And yet, he gets to it every game and gets to this type of a position. This is crazy pressure. Like, welcome back, BacT. Okay. Okay, good work there from BacT. Just needs one or two more of those moments. Okay, TC's almost halfway down. Oh, no. I actually want to check a stat after this, which I just realized that Capture Age actually has. And it's going to be the idle time on the ranges from Liereyy. Oh, that was a nice shot. The thing is, you're in such a bad position now because you don't have a market if you're BacT. And it costs so much wood to repair a TC. Beautiful attack down there from Liereyy. That might be the end of the game. Disgusting. We do have knights counterattacking now, which Liereyy might not be prepped to deal with. But the skirmishers. Actually, some of them did hop into the TC, I guess. Oh, okay. Well, those guys now dying because they were underneath the TC. Liereyy still hasn't reacted to this. The eco count's actually still pretty similar. Maybe if BacT had a second town center right now, the situation would look a little better. Gets another shot. Lierey's reacting to this now. And gets another shot as well, though he does lose his Mangonel. Dang. Crazy. I mean, I've just been looking at this economy and the inefficiencies, and the worker efficiency overall has still been so low for BacT. It doesn't seem great. But he is still alive in this game, and that cheeky counterattack did so much damage here. And he's also killed a lot more eco in this game than Liereyy has. Look at this, guys. Liereyy has only killed 4 eco this game. Are you kidding me? BacT's going to kill another villager. And Lierey's crossbows now. They have to retreat, and BacT is actually alive. Nice micro from Liereyy, but he gets a bit hit by a big shot. Dang. My brain was going to go somewhere else with this. There's going to be something else I was going to bring up. I don't know what it was. I could have just not said what I just said. You know, and just like if it came back to me, mention it. But again, the brain just doesn't really work in a way it should for me at times. But, you know, you've got more crossbowmen here from Liereyy. Thumb ring now. He never got ballistics. Maybe that's what I was going to say. It's cheaper for the Italians, right? It feels like something you'd want to prioritize. BacT's micro here looking really good. BacT having this outpost would be extremely helpful because Lierey's patrolled right into that as he's microing on this side. And no Castle Age wood upgrade or farm upgrade for BacT. I mean, there's still so many areas he's behind in this game, but he gave himself a chance. 2 town centers now. Been really impressed with how he's played this. Would like to see these archers actually go over to that gold. Feels like BacT has obviously forgotten about those. Oh, and Liereyy adds a knight. And Lierey's like kind of right back where he started. Decent crossbow mass, and he's got some siege to back it up. And oh, those 2 villagers, I'm not sure what they were up to, but they get picked off. Lierey's right back in business. Oh, I know what I did want to check, though, is this stat. So look at the last minute, but then all time for Liereyy. It's not as high as you would normally want. But there's his ranges as a whole. Creating 74% of the time. That's pretty crazy. Whereas like this is 60%. I'm going to use that more frequently. It's a really helpful capture age stat. As we have a split move there from BacT. He doesn't have +2 armor yet. So his knights are going to melt pretty quickly here. But no ballistics means that he can actually flee. And... oh, man. Lierey's micro there. Just good enough. And he's using the crossbows for this. But BacT now is repairing. And Lierey's dodged there as well. But will he lose the siege and his crossbows at the same time? What's happening? BacT. He's going to clear up this army again. What? This is insane. He actually has a lot of knights, too. He's got 12 knights right now. And Liereyy doesn't have a whole lot of army, man. This crossbow mangonel thing that Liereyy loves to do, it hasn't actually worked out. Lierey's had amazing economy. He's just going to make more archers here. What about, like, pikemen or something? There's not many skirms anymore. And Lierey's in full damage control mode now, as he does get a crazy clutch quick wall in there. That could have been devastating to him. And the pressure's now on. But BacT was retired, guys. He stopped playing the game. He made a post. So many people have made a post over the years. You know, I'm done with the game, whatever. BacT meant it. For 3 months, anyways. This is crazy. What a comeback. What a comeback. And I'm not seeing enough from Liereyy right now. He's got tons of resources, but I don't know if he could stop this. Now, what he can do is he can take out the siege, and that's extremely helpful. So that's good work from him. His TCs also have Bodcanero, and he is still massing more crossbowmen, so we can get back to a decent mass. But BacT, you know, on 3 TCs could start to fix his economy a little bit. That's my main worry, is like his economy just looks scrappy. It doesn't look as clean. And just as we were freaking out about this position for BacT, Lierey's back in business. 13 crossbows, 5 knights. And he still has like a proper farm eco. He's still got a better base set up with 4 TCs. He's going to see another siege unit. And he's going to kill that, which allows his crossbows to do his thing again, hopefully. Look, it's just like if Liereyy could spend his resources, he would win this game. The thing that Liereyy likes to do, though, is he likes to save his resources to click imp really fast. But I think with this open a game, when your opponent's making skirms and siege, I wouldn't have mind to see like a second or third stable and just all in knights. But that's me. I'm not Liereyy, to point out the obvious here. And Liereyy does what he does very well, and he sticks to it for a reason, because it works. Seems like he must be missing a building now, because he has the resources. There's his building. And so it's just going to be defense till imp for Liereyy. And BacT's behind by 30 eco, despite killing 28 eco and only losing 8. But he's at 8 knights. He's going to have a couple monks, some siege moving forward. Is he going to be able to get the pressure in on Liereyy here in time? Dang, crazy. I can't help but feel like if BacT, throughout that moment, had vision on this gold, that Liereyy could have lost the game. Like, obviously, Liereyy could always go back to this gold, but he wasn't doing so. And there were quite a few villagers sent over here that would have died. But BacT was like 2 or 3 steps behind in this game, and he had to claw those steps back just to even it out here. And he's still very much in all-in mode. By the way, I think his fish trap is bugged, or his fishing ship is bugged or something, because capture age is like, you know, something's going on there. 27 crossbows for Liereyy. He's probably not going to ever go for Genoese here. Liereyy prefers the archer mass. It's so much easier to mass out of the ranges. And he also still has some knights too, right? Like just enough to pick off the siege and the skirms. BacT's knight mass is now starting to flow after he's fixed his economy. But it's taking so long. Like he needed that push to continue here. And well, BacT could convert all these knights actually. You know, it goes for it a little late. Doesn't get those conversions. Lierey's now backing away. Remember, Liereyy has ballistics. He has thumb ring as well. He's got a lot of crossbowmen. And he loves to micro his crossbowmen. Best archer micro player in the game. And BacT actually calls the GG. Which is interesting because it's 3 seconds before Liereyy hits imp. He absolutely would have called the GG once he saw Liereyy hit imp, I think. But he calls the GG anyways. And honestly, it was a really good game. I think BacT played so much better than I would have expected coming back against Liereyy. And Liereyy, you know, maybe too much confidence in his micro. I don't know. Had some issues there with the crazy micro from BacT and the crazy army composition. But ultimately, I think Lierey's early crossbow, even though they didn't end up killing a lot of eco, what they did do is they allowed him to have a better economy and do the things that he needed to do. And so he was able to recover due to that fact. after a couple awkward moments. But Liereyy gets the first win in this series. BacT, he's in a good spot to win on Nomad. Like, I think for BacT, this is your first week back. You're against Liereyy, who's a beastly player. If you win on Nomad and even just get one win in this whole series, you still should be pretty comfortable moving forward in the group. BacT is a bigger name than some of the other names I've said this with, but I think like for BacT, that the goal is still to be getting one win. And Lierey's draft is just a potato draft unless he has something planned for Nomad. Let's put it that way. I have all the faith in the world in BacT playing Nomad because he picked it as a home map, and I know the guy. But also the fact he's got Spanish on that draft, though I think Lierey's got Malians. Malians super good too. Okay, so ladies and gents, welcome. We've got game number 2. We've got Malians for Liereyy. A great Nomad civilization. Not a bad Nomad civilization at all. I think it's important to state that because I have questioned Lierey's draft. And I question Lierey's draft not because of his pick, but because of his ban. And what he banned was Cumans, and I forget the other one. Maybe Cumans Lithuanians. But you do all that stuff with the draft after you see the home map, and I've never really seen Liereyy as like the best Nomad player ever. He's certainly not the worst. Malians are one of the best civs. You can afford to make a house, a TC, a dock, and a fishing ship right away with this civ. But is it really a smart move not to ban Spanish when BacT is so good on Nomad? We'll see. We've got an interesting Nomad generation. BacT has a dock, which is going to allow for safer fish. So what's going to matter the most here is if Liereyy finds that fish. And Lierey's scouting the shoreline pretty diligently right now. The cows are actually going to be able to find it if he's thorough. Or at least he's going to be able to know that his opponent has not docked the outside at all, and there might be some inside water. They're pretty far away from each other, and I think there's pros and cons to that. So, you know, on one hand, if you're going to drop a castle with the Spanish, you might want time so you can drop that castle so you don't get attacked. You know, like in feudal. On the other hand, if you're going to drop a castle, you might want to drop it directly on Lierey's face. So there's like, you know, both sides of that. I think that ultimately the most important thing is not only just the time, though, on land and the positioning, but is also the fish. And so that's where the key is really going to lie here. Because conquistadors, as strong as they are, not only do you need a castle for them, but you need consistent food income for them. And that consistent food income is oftentimes your fishing ships, amongst some other things. So this Nomad generation, it allows you some sneaky dock spots, and you don't necessarily have to just give up water either if you're Spanish. You could also be competitive. Now, here's my suggestion. This is not an original suggestion. This is something that I had seen people talking about behind the scenes recently. So here's the thing. I love Spanish, and I want Spanish to still be like a staple on Nomad. But I feel like they're like so good that 99.9% of times, if there's a ban, players are going to be, you know, banning the Spanish and not playing them. So shout out to Liereyy for not banning them, unlike every other pro. And because of the build speed, because they build faster, they always get their TC up faster, which means that civs that would normally get a lead against them, like Malians or Persians with the faster fishing ship, don't. And so, yeah, and then you have the Conquistador, and it's really hard to stop that unit. So, what do you guys think about this idea? I brought it up last week. Most people said it seems like a good idea. What do you think if the devs made it so the first TC for Spanish doesn't build faster? Because remember, the Sicilian TCs build faster in Castle Age onwards, but the first TC doesn't build faster for Sicilians. I think it would actually be a really good balance move. I think Spanish would still be top tier on Nomad, but they might not be like as crazy good. And so we might see them played more. And then if they were played more, they wouldn't be as dominant. I don't know. It's just a thought. It would be a sizable nerf to them, but I still think they'd probably be up there. Someone says, no, Spanish are my fave. Leave them alone. Oh, okay. Found the Spanish picker. Found the Spanish picker on Nomad. Okay, my bad. All right, I'll shut up. It is funny, though, like when I mentioned balance of civs. There are people who are like, no, 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 I play that civ all the time. Don't change that. Don't change that. Okay, Liereyy. He found the TC from BacT, and he's done a great job here, guys. Check this out. So he knows there's no dock around the outer ring. Very thorough. And now he's found the fish. This is so important. And I think he expected it to be here too, because he had already brought a villager this direction to dock. This is so good from Liereyy. And BacT is thinking, okay, my fish are going to be safe, I hope. I'm going to go fast castle into Conquistadors. Now, he could still go fast castle into Conquistadors. Also, BacT, don't lose your villager. House trick. Nice. Get it. Nice. Oh, God. Get it. Nice. Still awkward. The boar might get a downhill hit. Awkward. Sorry, I'll finish my thought here in a second. But yeah, so BacT is still going to go for the fast castle Conquistador play, most likely. But he's going to lose 7 fishing ships. So maybe this was it from Liereyy. Like, maybe Liereyy not banning the Spanish is because he has so much confidence in himself that he just knew that he could find these fish. And by the way, BacT saw the dock there from Liereyy, so he kind of knows now that he's probably going to lose this. And is he running with them? He's actually trying to leave. Interesting. He's trying to hide them and get another dock up. Yo. That's pretty nifty, man. Okay. So here's the thing. If he gets found, it still could be really bad. He doesn't have the resources to go fast castle. You know, he's not on gold to be able to compete for water here. He's just not making ships as quickly. But if he could get a sneaky dock down here and keep it going, that's hundreds and hundreds of food that's going to help him get to Castle Age. That's an amazing attempt from BacT. And that's exactly what I kind of envisioned for this version of Nomad, man. Think of all the talking points we've had. Lierey's had to scout. He's had to strategize to change his dock approach. And now he's going to have to think out the box a little bit. He also, by the way, is going for a barracks. Could easily see him follow it up with an archery range and try and pressure on land. So many things to talk about right now. But Lierey's like, what? Where's this fish? Like, normally what happens is players will fish for what's left and then just lose their fishing ships. It's very rare to see someone ever do this. Lierey's got to be so confused. He can't find them. He cannot find them. He doesn't know what to do. Because now there's a chance, since BacT is in feudal, he could actually make navy here. Which you kind of want to address as well. So experienced nomad play from BacT. I stated BacT is a really good nomad player. This is also like the 5th boar I think he's going to bring in this game. Okay. BacT has been on stone for a while. He doesn't have his buildings to go up yet, but he will soon. And I think BacT, if you're not losing your fish, you should be happy already. You do need to make sure you don't lose access to your stone, and you need to wall. I think that's the second part to this strategy that BacT may or may not do here. Like, even losing your fishing ships now, and you're okay. Lose your fishing ships now, and you've already got enough food, I think, where you're happy, and you're floating a lot of food when you make it to the next stage. The next thing you take advantage of with the faster build speed of this civilization is you wall. Oh, this is questionable. Does he not know where Lierey's TC is? He might actually not know where Lierey's TC is at all. I just assumed he had an idea at this point, but maybe that cow's freaking him out. Because, like, if Liereyy was over there, Liereyy would have gotten that cow. He's no loom! No! No loom! What? Oh, God. Oh, God, man. No loom is so bad. Oh, he's going to lose so many... Well, it depends, I guess, on how Liereyy moves out here. You've got to get loom. And I think Liereyy should have looked for the fish. It almost looks as though he has a little bit, but he hasn't expected it to be hiding. No loom. Okay, BacT's going to drop towers. Maybe he'll end up being okay. This is bringing me flashbacks from Wandering Warriors Cup. If you guys never saw that series, Capotch versus BacT Game 5, and you never saw what I'm referring to, it is genuinely one of the most devastating moments. I'm not exaggerating. Devastating moments for any player in Age of Empires 2 history. Probably lost the series because of... I'm going to spoil it now. The clip's been out there and the video's been out there. He lost 4 villagers to 1 tiger because of no loom. It's a crazy instance where the villagers were weak. A lot of, like, aspects of it were just him being unlucky, but... Anyways, like, he makes it to Castle Age. I can't help but feel like, though, if he would have walled this off, he wouldn't have had to make the towers, and he would have been able to make that castle already. Lierey's looking like he's in a really good position. Lierey's going to have skirmishers because he's expecting conks. Liereyy redocked here, so his fishing ships are more efficient. There's a short of it somewhere, so maybe someone could just link the short. I think it's on the T90 Shorts channel. Like, if BacT didn't have the fish, he would probably be completely dead. Him sneaking the fish have kept him in this. It's taken him a long time to get to these conquistadors, but he's going to drop that castle shortly, and he's going to drop it right next to his TC, and honestly, why not? You just want to get that TC, that castle as quickly as possible so you can get to conquistadors. Liereyy with 11 fishing ships. So he might not have gone all in to find the fish, but he does have more fishing ships, and so he has better economy with the fishing ships. And has lots of potential, and he knows this will become a problem. He's got outposts on the front. He's going to go university and use this all as part of a wall. And look at this vision from Liereyy. He knows exactly where his opponent is. He doesn't know his opponent's going to make conquistadors now, but he's probably expecting it at some point. Yes, somebody just linked it. So, you know, all in all, I think that Lierey's economy is going to be really good, and it will be better, but the opponent's going to have conquistadors. And Conquistador Siege could still be a big problem here in the long run here for Liereyy. All that said, BacT's got to get some cows underneath his TC. He's got to get like a mill on these berries. He's got to sort some stuff out with his eco. But he does have 2 conks now. Liereyy knows it's a problem, and there's the Siege Workshop. At this point, though, do you not think it's just kind of inexperience from Liereyy on Nomad to not look over here? Because BacT hasn't even made any attempt at fighting on water. And Liereyy should know he didn't kill any fishing ships. These fires should absolutely be checking here now. And maybe he will now that he took out the dock. Okay, Lierey's got Town Watch, so this won't surprise him much. He does have ballistics already. Wow, I like that. I like that a lot. Malian University tech's coming way faster. And skirms should be good. I love the outposting down here, too. I love all the vision Liereyy has. And the stone walls. Lierey's not playing around here. It's the siege that will become the problem, right? It's Conquistador Siege. But now BacT's Conquistadors are kind of separate from the... they're separated from the siege. He's going to try and pull back to the siege. He's going to lose everything. Wow, well played from Liereyy. I mean, say what you want about BacT's creativity with the fish. You don't see that every day. This is super clean. Also, I like how he delayed the boom. A lot of players go 3 TCs and BacT just resigns. What? Well, you remember that time where I questioned not banning Spanish and where I questioned banning humans and blah, 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 blah. Liereyy wins, man. Well, we've got a 3rd game coming. It's play all 3. Liereyy, I think just he did what he needed to do and got the lead on water. And him killing these conks is such a costly loss for BacT. These things cost as much as a night, right? BacT knew he didn't have much of an economy. I'm sure he came into the series too, not feeling a lot of confidence in himself if he just came back from retirement, and like he calls it. I think running in with the conks when you see all the outposts is a mistake. If you see this, well, I guess he's not expecting Liereyy to be having outposts literally everywhere, but yeah, you need to keep your conks with the mangonels. If he keeps his conks with the mangonels, Liereyy has some big problems. This would be an issue. You would lose the hill. BacT could drop another castle soon. But it was just losing the conks. I still would have liked to have seen BacT play on a little bit more. But And he didn't have a ton of food eco, I guess. I don't know. Just didn't feel like he could do it there. Lierey's economy was better, but it wasn't like that much better. And also, Malians have kind of a questionable tech tree. They don't get Bracer, so Conquistadors just get stronger and stronger and stronger. He probably just ran in blind, hoping he could kill villagers and didn't expect to lose them. Liereyy just prepped for it perfectly. Maybe a little too predictable there from BacT, and he just ran headfirst into a counter. Well played. The early ballistics is what forced that GG, though. Without early ballistics, the conks will get home, and everything's fine. So that was a slick play. Classic Liereyy changing his color midway. We'll put him back to red here. Scores 2-0 for Liereyy. And again, big question was how good is BacT going to look? And I just said I think BacT's look fine. I think strategically he's actually been okay. But just not quite as crisp and clean. It does look like he maybe doesn't have as much faith in himself here too. And he's up against Liereyy playing as the Britons, man. So Liereyy top tier. Expected to go be one of the favorites to win his group in Group B. He was second place in his group in the first season. But also beyond that, obviously, when the playoff stage rolls around, Lierey's always one of the favorites. Move on deep past the quarterfinals, semis, even into the final. For BacT, you came back from retirement. Mods, help me out. Appreciate it. And I think if you get one win here now, you're very happy. One win, everyone else has to play Liereyy. And then you're going to be in better shape, hopefully, for the upcoming sets, right? BacT's gone for the Mayans, and it looks like he's going for a little bit of a lame, actually. So here he goes. It is possible. It is allowed to lame. But what we've done with the boars is they tend to generate towards the sides or the back. It is to discourage the laming. Like, you know, backs are pretty forward. It'd be doable there. BacT is, you know, he's using the Eagle Scout as well. It's not possible for a normal scout to beat an Eagle Scout in the Dark Age, so you can kind of do whatever you want with this thing. But what I'm thinking with Liereyy and what I'm seeing from his map here, wouldn't surprise me at all to see the classic Drush from Liereyy with 2 militia into a faster feudal behind this. And as long as the Britons have archers, the Britons are going to dominate this matchup, I think. Obviously, there's that deadly eagle switch that could come in later from the Mayans. They do have pretty decent skirmishers too. But everything that you can do with the Britons is set up by their archer play. So, in the event that your opponent goes eagles, as long as you have 20, 30 archers, you're in a good position to get a meat shield in front, whether that be cavalry or infantry. The problems that players will have at times with Britons, as Lierey's going to get his sheep back now. Yeah, what you run into with Britons sometimes is it's so cheap to add the town centers, and then you stop making the army. Liereyy doesn't tend to have that problem. And now he might actually find the sheep. This is the risk of going for the lame, right? Now Lierey's going to steal these 2 sheep. I'm not sure he would have picked up on the fact that he was lamed, but he's now going to be like, oh, okay. And that's the risk you take if you run forward, as BacT just did. He's going to miss out on 2 sheep. He might not even see his boar. There he goes. Okay, he sees the boar. So down 200 food then is BacT. BacT dropping that barracks. Not something that Liereyy sees at the moment. Liereyy not choosing to drop the barracks, actually. He's going to play up towards feudal age here. And he doesn't have scouting on the barracks yet, but he might loop back around to see it. Will I be playing AW2 today? No playing for me for a while, actually. I'll be very busy with casting, so. We've got 4 sets on the cards for today. Obviously, we already did 1. Wait, is that a new sheep that's being stolen? Hold on. Oh, God, BacT was bringing one back. It is. So that's going to be minus 300 food there for BacT. And that's kind of a big deal when you're going for this strat. You're investing food into the Dark Age. This can delay your feudal age longer than you'd like. So he now feels like he needs to compensate by pushing in a deer. What he would want to do is push another one, but you actually can't really do that because you need to bring your eagle forward for this to be an effective rush. Also, is this Liereyy going scouts? I think Britain scouts is underrated. You have a lot of fast food income with the sheep, so you can get up pretty quick. No one really expects it. And then you can transition into archers later on after you have a lot of farms. Oh, man. BacT's missing out on that sheep. This sheep's coming back. This sheep's coming back. They're coming back. I think this is a scout rush from Liereyy. What? When's the last time you saw Liereyy go scouts in an RM game? With Britons. This might be a first, actually. The thing he hasn't done, though, is he hasn't scouted the barracks. And again, I'm going to be very curious if BacT can afford to click up here to feudal. There's the eagle. There's the militia. Liereyy, he's got to be careful here. He could easily lose a villager to this if the eagle's there, too. BacT kills the sheep. And he seems hesitant to fight because his opponent has loom right now. And honestly, pretty bad start to this because the eagle's lost half HP. The militia almost got no value. Ah, of course he's going into archers. Shocker. Liereyy will go archers. Liereyy fighting back. Liereyy will also bring his scout back home to help out with this. And the fact that Liereyy hasn't walled in his vills at all shows the confidence that he has. And he's weakened this army. Everything's looked pretty ineffective here. All that said, Lierey's going to get housed. That's not something BacT will know. So that forces Liereyy into the town watch upgrade because he might as well do something with that TC. Scout comes back because it's a feudal age scout. BacT won't be too upset to see that, actually. Because he could easily go skirms if that scout's weak later on. And especially if he kills it, he's going to love life. Kill it. Oh my goodness. Okay. A little sloppy there from Liereyy. Not the most effective drush ever from BacT, but BacT will actually be pretty happy that he's got his scout remaining. I will see if he can actually keep that thing alive. Obviously, archers are going to be on the way now from the Austrian. And BacT will likely wall up, but go into some defense here with some ranged units. And there's his range. Archer moving forward already from Liereyy. And there's the blacksmith. So he's hoping for fast fletching. This is the type of Liereyy game that we've grown used to seeing. And this is the classic BacT game that we've grown used to seeing. The walls, right? I mean, not just BacT, but also the Mayans. Did you guys just hear a noise at all? Apart from me casting and the game? I'm assuming you did not. But let me know. I just want to make sure. Here's a skirmisher for BacT. Now he's being attacked. No fletching, though. Skirmisher for BacT. Now he's being attacked. Does he have a lot of tact? You know, I was just trying to think of other things to rhyme with. Oh, God, fletching's on the way. There was a hole. There was a hole. You didn't hear anything crazy? Okay, cool. Okay, no noise. Awesome. I like how, like, some people said yes. Other people said just the voice in my head. There's always trolls that are going to throw me off, but I think we're good. I think BacT could be okay as well here. He just needs to make sure his micro is good enough to kill this. His eco should be okay. It hasn't been the prettiest economy ever. Certainly compared to Liereyy with the farms. But it is just one of those games, man, that, like, Liereyy loves to play. Easing his way towards the next stage where he can play into crossbowmen. Microing with archers. The drush, obviously, it did enough to weaken his scout and kill his scout. That's a big thing, and there's a reason I mentioned it. Because, again, if the scout was full HP, the scout would decimate BacT. Yeah, Lierey's archer here won't break through. The skirmisher is close to death. BacT is walled. But BacT has a lot of idle time. We'll see if BacT's castle age time is going to be competitive enough. I'll be curious to see the food collected. Once these villagers come in with food, I'm going to check the total resources collected here and see what that ends up looking like. But let's actually check it now since we have the time. Okay, so just a bit more in the way of every resource right now for Liereyy. And probably that's translated into worker efficiency as well. Worker efficiency overall is 84%. 79% right now for BacT. But, you know, at the same time, Liereyy doesn't have that big of an archer mass. And now he's going to have some skirmishers and maybe some archers coming to his base too. Liereyy got fletching really early with this build order, right? And he wasn't really able to do much with that. BacT isn't walled yet. And yeah, now I think is where I wanted to check, because you have 140 food coming back with these vills. Now I check the food collected, and yeah, much closer. BacT will just patrolling his opening. Still no fletching. This is a very relaxed Arabia game. No scouts, no crazy aggression. It's just like, it's the type of game that Liereyy would want. I do have to question him going here, though. I imagine he's assumed that BacT is fully walled. But, like, BacT is going to see this, and BacT is just going to run right to Lierey's base, and Lierey's wide open. No! Oh, my God. That would have been such a good raid. Like, that could be game-ending. Liereyy would have nothing to defend from that. Oh, man. See, this is BacT just respecting Liereyy and assuming that Lierey's actually going to be walled. Oh, man. Guys, if he runs in there, he would pull villagers off of wood, the berries, keep Liereyy open, and also take Liereyy off of that gold. Instead, he's going to clear up army, which is never a bad thing. Maybe now he runs forward with this mass. But man, if only BacT knew. A clear sign here, guys, that there's no stream cheating at play. Because if he was, man, he would have run right in. And now Liereyy panics. Lierey's like, oh, crap. Like, I kind of need to hold from this. And by the time that army arrives, Liereyy will actually be walled. So BacT is probably just assuming that Liereyy was walled the whole time. Dang. He had vision on all this area. But again, he would have assumed there was a wall. And a wall. Liereyy was very casual about it. Liereyy will now be fully walled. And Lierey's adding a sneaky stable behind this, so he could make a knight against any skirms. BacT is adding another barracks, so BacT wants to go all in eagles here. Not that uncommon with the Mayans. And especially not common against Britons if you think that Britons are just the better archer civ. I think going a mix of skirms and archers with Mayans is good against Britons. Your archers are still really cheap. And castle age times will be similar. Big difference, though, is that BacT is all in here, guys. He's does not have stone to drop town centers. Lierey's got a pretty good base to drop town centers as well. I could see a town center here. Town center here. Actually protects the wood lines. Gives you access to more wood. And then also the stone and the gold. This is obviously a questionable area for Liereyy in the long term. And now the ranged army sits in here at Lierey's wood line. And Lierey's going to sneak out now. And he's going to reposition those villagers and just hope that the crossbows can kill while the knight cleans this up. BacT doesn't see that. And he also doesn't see any holes in the walls because Liereyy rewalled it. So as far as BacT is aware, Lierey's still behind his walls. Will Liereyy attack it? Liereyy won't attack it for a while. Okay, finally he does. I'd like to know if that was delayed intentionally. And, oh, man, there would have been another hole in BacT's wall. So BacT patches that hole and is now getting eagle upgrades. Still sitting on the wood line, bringing the skirms home. And there's going to be a knight or two coming out from Liereyy now. Who, surprise, surprise, has crossbowman and bodkin arrow. But he's going to see the barracks, realizes his archer mass is pretty low, and decides to pull back home. And here he is. Skirmishers will find him. The knight isn't here yet. This would be so bad for Liereyy if he loses these crossbows. And he's going to lose crossbows that he shouldn't lose. Let's put it that way. He's not going to lose them all. But BacT is at least getting some value from this, which he'll be very happy about. I don't think BacT is going to be too concerned about Briton knights. Does BacT know about the Briton knights, actually? Did he lose the archers here? Looks like he did. There's the second town center for Liereyy. You might even see the third. It's going to be Liereyy getting value from this army, and BacT is going to probably try and come forward and push here. But there are some things that's still telling me that BacT is rusty, right? Like, we don't have the wood upgrade yet. He's got 6 eagles queued out of 2 barracks, instead of maybe having the 3rd barracks. He's not coming forward with the siege workshop or anything. But there's just a couple things in my mind that I think BacT would normally want to do, and Lierey's getting amazing value from this fight as far as I can see anyways. He's going to lose his crossbows, but he is going to kill quite a few eagles. But I guess both players would be fairly happy with the engagement. The amount of kills is similar. Also, that archer behind the wood line is the most BacT thing I've ever seen. He's been doing that since I've started casting in 2015. Okay. BacT could maybe consider buying stone and going for town centers and booming now too. He's got the option to flex into that, but he did see this TC. And if I see all of this and a TC there, I want to come forward with a siege workshop. Lierey's going to try and raid. BacT is going to re-wall that and bring the Vills now. Interesting moments. This is the situation that I always fall into with the Britons, and I never know how to bring it back. But I also never find my opponent's villagers like this. And the villagers will actually survive, though, and Lierey's going to lose a knight. That should be a conversion, unless life isn't fair. There you go. Life is fair. Liereyy loses a bunch of knights here. And there's the Siege Workshop Foundation. All right. And you've come out of retirement. You're up against Liereyy. It's been a little messy, but if you get one win, then you're in a better position. I think you also need one win because if you're BacT, you're probably competing against Draken and Dark realistically. There's only going to be... So just to back up a second. So we've got Liereyy, Yo, and MBL, and then BacT, Draken, and Dark. It's like two sections of players. You've got like the first three I mentioned probably are no-brainers to not get relegated, you would assume. But then, you know, the other three, and BacT is in that conversation, is, you know, which two are going to go down and which one's going to stay up. I'd love to be proven wrong on that, by the way. Yeah, Draken's been playing really well, and I haven't seen a lot more from Dark yet, but... So anyways, as Lierey's planning to drop a castle here, man, this is so risky. This is so risky, but he knows he needs something. BacT wants that win because Draken got a win against Liereyy. And Draken also, we saw his second rounds already. He got a win against Liereyy, but also Yo. Okay, Eagles get rewalled out. BacT will bring the Mangonel over to the TC. Where does Liereyy place this castle? You can't place it in front of your TCs at all because of the siege. You could maybe place it here. And does that castle even give you good control in the long term? There's a lot of pressure coming right now from BacT. So this is Lierey's army. This is his counter-attacking army. It's just a knight he's forgotten about in the distance. I think Liereyy will end up having to just keep himself alive by dropping a castle back here. Just so, because if you don't want to lose this TC and then lose everything behind this, but you're almost out of gold there. Maybe he tries to wait to see where BacT commits and then builds it over here. It just comes out here boldly. Lierey's using the Briton range. He's got one more range than the Mangonels, so he's using it to try and take out the siege, but BacT is wise to it. BacT's still pretty all in here. He's going to have full upgrades. There's the castle foundation. Will he see it? He doesn't see the castle foundation. Will he see it? He sees it now. He sees it now, but I think it could maybe go up here for Liereyy. He's also getting supplies, so he wants to go longswords. And now, yeah, BacT realizes, okay, I can't take that out. I can't stop it, but what I can do is I can break in here. This is crazy pressure. Liereyy does not have the army to deal with all-in eagles. Oh, man. He's trying his best to micro here. The houses are going to go down so the eagles and knights can go in. And more houses are down. I think there's the stone walls or foundations. I can't tell. BacT couldn't either. Lierey's defense is insane. The siege needs to be repaired because Lierey's a god. But now there's another wave and another fire he needs to put out here. And more houses he needs to place. BacT, if he breaks through, can kill that crossbow mass. And Lierey's actually adding longbows now. Still hasn't taken a big hit to the siege from his crossbows. BacT now repairing. This is insane. And Liereyy actually gets one of the Mangonels. And these eagles have been forgotten about, so they're dying. And Liereyy just doing Liereyy things, just barely holding on. And maybe you could say he's got the lead now, actually. Now, he still needs gold access. He's completely out of gold. But he's getting great value from those crossbows. This is insane. The good news is after supplies, your longsword switch is going to be a bit easier. Also, BacT's going to drop TC number 2. Man, was that delayed, though, compared to Liereyy. He might drop TC number 3 as well, but that will also mean that he won't be able to focus as much on the forward. Liereyy. Liereyy. Backs away. Does lose 1 crossbow and a bunch of HP. Getting the longsword upgrade now. Liereyy. Big shot. That's what BacT's been waiting for. Liereyy needs to repair this. Sorry, not Liereyy, but BacT does. This is a crazy Arabia game. I think you just hit the TC now if you're BacT and hope it hits the crossbows in the process. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. If the crossbows were standing in the middle, it would have wrecked him. And BacT is going to dive. He's going to dive. I'm not sure it'll be enough if he dives. We do have longswords out. They're kind of out of position, though. Do you run? Maybe you run around now if you're BacT. Keep the siege here on the TC. Uh-oh, he's falling apart. Lierey's using the TC here. So the siege has gone down. Uh-oh. Not actually many villagers back there, funnily enough. We have a panic TC from Liereyy. This is crazy action on here on Arabia. BacT is just trying to keep Liereyy off of all this stone and gold. I think if BacT still had mangonels attacking this TC, I'd prefer his position. The fact that he doesn't right now, I'm not so sure. But he is going to kill these vills and deny this TC. And if he can use his mobility with his eagles, there's potential still. Lierey's got a lot of idle time, too. But again, this is another example from BacT. Like, this is the second one now. That's so bad. Okay, he can actually save that one. But, like, Lierey's going to come poke that with a crossbow. So you got to repair that. And BacT realizes he will actually clear this, though. Liereyy coming out there for that mangonel. There comes the villager. There's 29 eagles on the field. There's the knight. Knight gets deleted. Crazy game. Okay, Liereyy needs another castle. You absolutely cannot settle for a castle in the back of your base, though. You need the castle to be close to one of these golds. So do you place it here after a fight? Or do you think you can't win the fight and then you drop it here? I think I would drop it here. But, again, that's me. You do have 14 longswordsmen now. And you've got the 13 crossbows. BacT has killed 22 villagers and lost 0, which is a pretty crazy stat. But does he have enough eagles to go up against longswords? The monks will help with conversions. The mangonel can help as well. We also have a couple archers coming in. Also, there's the hill. That's a really bad fight for Liereyy. It's showing how weak longswords are, too, because they're so slow. Great pressure here from BacT against Liereyy. Once Liereyy drops those TCs with Britons, normally you think he'll just macro his way to Imp. Kind of like game number 1, right? Liereyy took some bad fights, but you would think he'd have the better eco and be okay. Oh! Okay, that shot doesn't end up landing. BacT's going to try and drop a castle soon. BacT's eco is crazy, by the way. And here he comes with the vills. He's going to drop a castle there. No, don't drop a castle there. You need the castle here, man. I was thinking send these vills. Oh, man. This is crazy. Maybe he thinks he could lose this battle. That's a nice shot. He's probably really concerned he'll lose this battle if that's the case. Keep in mind, BacT has full upgrades on his eagles. There's only, like, 1 upgrade on Lierey's longswords. That's a really crazy castle. Like, that could be denied as well. 32 on food. Liereyy drops his own castle to deny this. Doesn't that end up being pretty good in the long run for BacT if he just deletes it and places the castle here? But can he get it up? That's the thing. It's a lot of longswords. He's getting some good hits with the siege. And so that's maybe why he takes the fight. I think you have to take this fight if you're BacT. Maybe use the mangonel against the longswords or something. There he is. He's going to clear this. His castle goes up here too. And he immediately queues up a whole world of petards. Lierey's army's done. 45 army for BacT. And who's to say he won't have the castle soon if he's mining more stone elsewhere? Liereyy has very little gold income. He has very little army. And actually, Liereyy might lose this castle if BacT is massing the petards, which is such a great play. It worked out. I think Liereyy reacted by making his own castle here because he felt like that would be a strong position for BacT. It wouldn't have been a weak position for BacT. But the army now is in, and the army controls Lierey's golds. And this is going to be another series where Lierey's going to lose a game. And a really important victory here for BacT here in Titans League. Again, every game matters. It doesn't matter how good or bad the first 2 games look. You getting a win here is so good for your chances moving on. I mean, he's going to take the TC out with the Eagles. Liereyy just has nothing. And, I mean, I say nothing. He's got 16 longswords. I can't wait to look at BacT's barracks and see how consistently he's been producing out of them. Villagers dying there. TC will go down. Liereyy just petarded a ram. Okay, villagers running after the ram. 4 hours of idle time for Liereyy collectively. He's hoping that the longswords can do it, though. He's like, this is supposed to be my unit. But the best players are going to outrun the longswords. Or eventually switch into the archers, which we could easily see BacT consider doing now. Lierey's eco efficiency's probably dropped. He does have lots of food eco. He just has no gold. He probably is just sitting here in disbelief. Like, come on, man. Give me a 3-0. I need a 3-0 here. He's not going to get it thus far. He's going to lose this castle as well. Then again, BacT isn't making any petards. Lierey's actually getting arson. So he's going to try and destroy this. It's actually a pretty good move. Because he needs to at least keep these castles up, I think, to protect this area of his eco. Incoming murder holes from BacT, probably. No, actually, then pros never get murder holes, and he doesn't have a university already. So yeah, arson's pretty good. Anyways, I think BacT just still has the numbers here where he can take these fights. And he also has the gold control, so he can make more. For Liereyy, even though longswordsmen don't cost that much gold, it doesn't matter. It was actually a pretty cost-effective trade for Liereyy. But he still has villagers garrisoned everywhere he looks. And even though he's going to take out BacT's castle... Oh, God, it's actually so close. BacT is still making petards. I can't even tell what's happening there. BacT's got full control over this game. This is really messy. Actually, BacT's got to make archers now. He's doing so. He's going to make some skirms and some crossbow. And longswords and villagers do it there. Maybe there's a little bit of hope for Liereyy. Maybe, like, if BacT doesn't bring the archers in. But I still don't see how Liereyy can actually take gold. Also, BacT has TC'd the gold right there. Like, BacT forward TC'd here, and he forward TC'd here, which is crazy. He has as many TCs forward as he does at home right now. I think BacT needs to settle down, deep breath. Really hard to do in these games. Get your upgrades. Get those archers out. Not skirmishers. He misclicked the skirms. Like, that could be a throw. Oh, no. He does have 10 crossbows. It's getting ballistics. Yeah, you take a deep breath. You play into crossbowmen now, and only crossbowmen, and then you just drop a castle here and go imp. And the longswords have cleared up a lot of army here. Longswords are not known for being good against archers, though. The ranges are producing here for BacT. It's looking really sloppy, which gives Liereyy an opportunity. So you're saying there's a chance, guys. Ballistics is in, though. Liereyy doesn't even have the stone to drop a town center there. And now there's definitely no chance for the longswords. And Liereyy, I think he's going to try and get the stone here for a TC. Right? Surely that's got to be his next move. And BacT is on the way to the Imperial Age. What a great performance from BacT here. Remember, this is on Lierey's home map. This is Lierey's favorite map. And there he goes. He buys the stone for the TC. That might never go up, though. And if it does go up, it could just be castle dropped. BacT already has the vills on the way. And then Imp would certainly end the game. I mean, Arabia is kind of like everyone's home map at a high level. Wow, that's a crazy castle. You know, everyone's fairly good on Arabia. It's the most played map for the majority of players in Platinum League. But BacT, he punished Liereyy for being a bit greedy there. And even though I felt like Lierey's play and many times in this game was much cleaner, it wasn't cleaner into military control. And BacT went all in, and BacT was rewarded for it. Such great work from BacT there. Remember when he saw that Liereyy was building this castle? He immediately shifted over here, and there were many instances where Liereyy just kept defending and defending and defending. But BacT always had more production. I actually want to check. So remember that, like, there was a period throughout all of Feudal Age where the barracks wasn't being used much. Throughout its entire existence, that was creating a unit 81% of the time. This is 82% of the time. This one here, 70% of the time. This one here, 80% of the time. Just like crazy. Now, let's look at Lierey's ranges. 48% of the time. Barracks, 38% of the time. These were newer. So these were producing more frequently. But I had mentioned the trap. I honestly, I do not know how to avoid doing it personally. I really struggle with the Britons because you want to add the cheap TCs, but then you can so easily fall into the position where you don't have the archer mass. And everything's got to go through the archer mass, because if you fall into anything else, the opponent's going to be in a much better position. You can go knights, you can go long swordsmen, but you also need to have crossbowmen. And Liereyy opted for the town centers and the walls, and he paid the price there. So BacT gets $40, but more importantly, BacT gets a win here in his first series. For Liereyy, obviously, he has 4 wins out of potential 6 after the first 2 rounds. I don't think there's any real worry for Liereyy of relegation or anything, but this could obviously affect his long-term positioning in the group. After all the group stage completes, the person who's first in the group gets a bye to the round of 8 quarterfinals. And then second place will play a third place player from another group. Third place will play a second place player from another group. So, you know, you just have to play more games and work harder if you're not winning your group. And with all due respect, like, Lierey's that type of guy you think has the potential to win the group if he's motivated, if he's active, and if he's playing clean. So, good series overall. And I'm really happy with the result. Someone asked me earlier today, like, are there ever instances where you're rooting for a player? And honestly, I don't really usually go into sets with that. Normally, I go in it with, I want to be as impartial as possible and unbiased as possible. But there absolutely are situations where I know that, like, a certain result just makes things way more interesting for the whole group or the whole series. And that's exactly what this 2-1 does. So Group B, very interesting. Very, very interesting, especially because there's still lots of games to be played. So good series there. Wouldn't longbows have been a better option here for Liereyy, dealing 1 more damage to eagles than X-bows? Yeah, maybe. And he did kind of try it. Like, he made a couple longbows. But I think the main issue for him was he probably was trying to queue longbows and queue swordsmen and do all this stuff amongst the craziness, and he didn't have the gold. Like, something I need to show, sorry, and maybe we can leave this in at the end of the video. This guy had no gold because he didn't lock it down. 14,000 gold, that makes a lot of sense because BacT was all over the gold with eagles, but still 6k gold is really low. So my guess is he was probably trying to do that and he just couldn't get to that point. But think about it. No ballistics for Britons? That's just, the approach was wrong there, right? The TCs were almost a little bit of a trap, a little bit of a bait. And, you know, BacT obviously continued to punish him throughout this game. So, but yeah, good game. I do agree that a couple longbows would be helpful. I don't think it would have made the difference if BacT played it as good as he did after he forced this type of cast. BacT was in a great spot.